You're listening to a special interview segment for the official podcast for WrestlingNewsSource.com.
Okay, folks, joining us on the show this week, he will be appearing at WrestleCon in New Orleans, WrestleMania weekend, courtesy of Clutch City Productions. He's going to be joining Scott Hall, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and many more. It's the one and only Scott Norton. Mr. Norton, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Oh, we certainly appreciate you coming on. Like we said, you will be attending at WrestleCon New Orleans, WrestleMania weekend. You getting pumped up for that? You getting excited?
Yes, I am. The best thing about it is I get to see some friends I haven't seen for a long time, and Bobby Heenan, Neidhart, and it's going to be great to see everybody.
Very cool. And, yeah, you were part of the big Clutch City Productions Super Show that they had last year. Got to meet all the guys over there and had a lot of fun. How does it feel going to these conventions and getting to meet fans of past years?
Well, that's awesome. You know, it's always good to get back and get connected with the fans again and get back into it. Your blood starts flowing. It brings back a lot of great memories, and it's just, it just gets everything flying. Gets you thinking a little bit. Very
cool. You started your career as a professional arm wrestler, then transitioned into wrestling. How did that come about?
Well, I won the world tournament, and with Over the Top, I was traveling worldwide. When I was in Japan, I was approached, and I talked with a couple of friends of mine. Hawk basically was the one guy that I talked to, confided in mostly, and he told me that it was a serious offer, and I went from there.
Very cool stuff. And you actually got to travel to Japan and wrestle in front of the crowds over there. Then you went over to WCW, where most of the fans of today would probably know you from. But you're very well known over in Japan. What are the differences between working in the States and working in Japan?
Well, it's in Japan, it's more what you do in the ring. There's not as much interviews, not much in front of the camera. It's more of your performance. Here in the States, it's more, they're going to more interviews, more managers, more angles. In Japan, it's more of a sport to the people. And as far as, the wrestling style, the style is quite a bit more physical. It's a harder, tougher style over there than it is here, and that's something that will fit me to a T.
Very cool. You wrestled in WCW. You were part of the NWO. So many stories come out of WCW featuring backstage politics and this and that. Did you ever encounter any of that? What were some of your experiences backstage at WCW?
You ever been to Monday Nitro? I mean, for crying out loud, it's every week. Yeah, that's just the business. I mean, you got NWO is a collection of the biggest egos in professional wrestling. I mean, of course, there's going to be some politics going on. I mean, it's just part of the business. It's a little, the politics of professional wrestling in the States is so much different than it is in Japan, where there really aren't any. In the States, you're going to run into a lot of that. And I could tell you story after story after story, but I mean, what happens there kind of stays there.
I'm not sure if you keep up with the current product at all, but I was listening a few years ago. I was listening to an interview that Colt Cabana conducted with the then Bryan Danielson, the now Daniel Bryan, and he spoke like super highly of you as like a great guy and as someone who was like very helpful when during his tours of Japan, where just being a guy who knew exactly what to do, exactly how to convey to him what he needed to do to do well there. And I just wondered if you remember teaming with him at that time, and did you see one of the biggest present day stars in him at that time, or not so much?
Well, to be honest with you, as far as helping guys along, I started business when I was 30 years old, and which is awfully late. And I was helped by a ton of guys. A lot of people went out of their way to help me. And I always said to myself, and I always wanted to pay it forward. And, he is an amazing professional wrestler, a great young kid. And when he came in, you couldn't help but want to help him. And the only thing I really, you teach them where to go, how to go about your business, how to get comfortable in the locker room, who to deal with, who not, slowly get into it. And then, as far as seeing how good he was, it was amazing. I wrestled a tag match, he and I against Lager and Nagata in Japan. And we just absolutely blew it up. I mean, it was one of the best matches I've ever been in my career, and mostly because of him. I mean, he is just an amazing talent, a good young guy, and a big fan of his. I'm really proud of him.
Do you keep up with the current product? Do you watch and follow TNA, WWE, Ring of Honor, any of the promotions like that?
Well, I watch a little bit of WWE. I kind of keep online. I follow what's going on in Japan pretty good, but it's something I've gotten away from it for a while, and I've been working on a couple projects of my own and whatnot. And now I'm starting to get back around doing some autograph deals with the NWO guys, and we're starting to get back out there a little bit. And I got some things, I got a book that we're just close to finishing up, and I'm starting to pay more attention to it. But after 20-some years rolling, you kind of take a step away for a second, and I did that, and it's now that I'm back, thinking about it, talking about it, really working on this book, and then being around the guys and everything, just back inside me. I mean, it's something that I love and I miss. Once you step away from it, you realize how much you miss it, and I never liked watching myself on TV. I never was a guy that would go and, wrestle Monday Night Show and then have to run down from the hotel and get downstairs to watch the replay. You know what I'm saying? It's just something, I was in it. I was there. It was enough for me. So, but I do watch. I want to watch my friends, and I want to see some of the guys. And, Daniel's one of the guys I do watch, and it is, half and half.
Very nice. You did mention your book that's in progress of getting published. What are some of the details that fans have to look forward to? Where does the journey begin and end for the story?
Well, it starts out when I was just a young kid with my dad doing concrete work, and it goes all the way up to my teen years and some of the crazy things I did before I got into professional wrestling, and of course some of the great experiences I had with friends in the business, and traveling around the world. North Korea, there's a hell of a chapter there. And then my relationships with some of the friends I got are just absolutely amazing. And it's a chance for me to acknowledge these people and to really express my feelings, how much they meant to me and how great they were to me. The opportunity I had in Japan was people really stuck their neck out for me. They gave me every chance, every opportunity a guy could have possibly want to make it. You know what I mean? And Hawk always told me, he says, they open the door, but you walk through it, and that's true. But I mean, I had some people that just it's just when the book comes out and people get to understand, and from my perspective, what went on and what it takes to get in another country. As far as in Japan, I was considered a Japanese wrestler being an American. That's very difficult to do. There's only a few guys that ever been able to really get to that level, and but you just don't always do it on your own. So that's one part of the book that I'm super excited about. And then there's a lot to do with my arm wrestling, and it's a pretty darn good read. At first, I was really pretty nervous about doing it, but now I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm very proud of this book.
With the launch of the WWE Network, fans can go back and see some of your matches in WCW. Is there any favorites that stick out in your mind?
Well, the one I get the most kickback on is the one with Ernest Miller, the Cat. That's kind of a funny deal. We're in my hometown. and you got the biggest mouth in the business out there running you down. They got about 500 buddies out there ringside. And I don't think he really realized what was coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, there's got to be a victim, and he was it.
That's how the NWO ran.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just, you know, that was the greatest time to be in professional wrestling. I mean, being part of the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody understands how big that was. I mean, Hall and Nash, you know, I mean, it was amazing to be around it and be part of it, you know, and we took that to Japan, too. I mean, Japan was, NWO was as big there as it was here. Nobody really realizes that, and that's another part of my book, you know, as far as us taking it there, and NWO was really much bigger than people really realize, I think.
You know, you've gotten to wrestle all over the world. You've wrestled, you know, very, you know, many different opponents. Was there anyone that, you know, when they gave you their name, you thought, oh God, not this, you know, this is just going to be terrible? Or was there anyone that you just absolutely loved working with? And was there anyone that you didn't get a chance to work with that you would have liked to?
Oh, well, the last question is one that I could really, yeah, there's a ton of guys I'd love to have a chance to work with that, you know, that I did. I've always said that's one thing about my career is, you know, not going into the WWE, you know, to have an opportunity to, you know, do a program with Bret Hart and back that up with Steve Austin and, you know, go to a guy like The Rock or Jericho. I mean, just to be able to work a program with these guys and work them, you know, in a month's time, I mean, it just elevates you to the max, you know, and there's plenty of guys I'd love to work with that I didn't get an opportunity to work with. But, you know, as far as people that I didn't like to work with, I mean, sure. I mean, there's guys that just don't fit your style, you know, that just sometimes just doesn't, you know, it doesn't mix. But as far as, you know, I mean, I never worried about anybody I got in it with. I was always pretty confident that was going to be fine.
And WWE recently did a, you know, Where Are They Now article on you. You got to check in on you for some of the fans who hadn't heard or seen of you in a while. You know, how was the feeling of doing that? And you know, on a side note, I don't know if Gilbert from Clutch City told you, but the picture, one of the pictures that was in there had me in there, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was wild at the sushi joint. Yeah, that was okay. You were there. You see how much fun we had that hour sitting there having dinner at that sushi joint.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you know, that's what it was like that for 6 years. It was just the greatest time, you know. And I mean, and you know, I that picture comes up, and I go, I can't remember his name, and also here we are. You know, and that's not a bad thing, you know, because I can look at, you know, somebody I've known for 10 years, and I can't.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, you know, I was talking to Gil about that, and he told me, and I said, holy smokes, I said, that's a small world, but. You know, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna try and print that picture out and get you to sign it at WrestleCon.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get all the guys signed it, and you know, that's just good time after good time after good time.
Absolutely, very cool stuff. When traveling the road, you know, you develop your road wives, so to speak. Just the people that you know, they're your core travel buddies. Who's in the car with Scott Norton as you're traveling from town to town in WCW?
Oh, WCW? Kind of weird, but it was me, Bagwell, a lot, Lex Luger, Sting, quite a bit. I traveled with Bryan Adams a lot. I did some road work on the road with Barbarian quite a bit. Let's see. When Rude came in, me and Rude were buds. You know, I mean, we started hooking up. But you know, I was fortunate. Because I got to do the buff, you know, I mean, it was a sweet deal. I mean, you know, private plane from Atlanta to wherever you wrestled, and you're back home that night, and that was a pretty nice little perk.
Very cool. So yeah, it's just it's really cool to get a chance to catch up with you. Like I said, you're going to be appearing at WrestleCon New Orleans WrestleMania weekend, courtesy of Clutch City Productions. You're going to be joining Scott Hall, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bret the Hitman Hart, Jen the Anvil Neidhart. To purchase your advance tickets, hop in front of the lines, get your pictures and autographs. Go to ClutchCityProductions.com. Mr. Norton, we certainly do appreciate it. You have a great night, and we certainly do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Mr. Norton.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Bye.